I'm Mark Babbitt, CEO and founder of YouTern, and you are watching Eye on Business.
Hello, my name is Judge Jim Gray. Watch our show In the Judge's Chambers on Facets TV. We'll talk about education, healthcare, the judicial system, the failed policy of drug prohibition. It's all there. Come join us.
Welcome to Eye on Business. I'm Kevin McDonald, and with me this evening is Mark Babbitt, the CEO of YouTern. YouTern is effectively a dating service that puts interns and businesses together. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Oh, thank you for letting me come on the show. This is great.
You bet. So I know with the economy being as difficult as it is, I'm guessing that interns are having a hard time finding gigs just as easily as the folks in the employment world. Is that true?
Oh, that's very true. And it's not just in jobs. It's not just internships. It's entry-level talent in general is having a hard time.
So tell me a little bit about interns. I mean, from what I understand in the intern world, one of the challenges has been that there's been some legal claims that free internships are actually illegal, and that many of the people are just effectively getting free employment. Is there any truth to that claim?
Well, unfortunately, there is some truth to that. Especially with our economy, businesses are doing whatever they feel they need to do to survive, and some of that involves exploiting young talent. And in most states, unpaid internships are completely illegal, but industries have gotten away with it for so long. Fashion, broadcasting. Unpaid internships have been the norm for decades, so it's kind of hard to stop it all at once.
So tell me a little bit about YouTern then, and what makes you different from any other employment agency.
Well, I'm glad you used the term employment agency, because that's not what we do. Okay. YouTern advocates high-quality mentor-based internships, which gets us usually away from the unpaid free labor aspect of the industry and the business. And what we specifically advocate is that there are choices out there. Just like there are good marriages and bad marriages and good jobs and bad jobs, there are good internships and really bad internships. And we focus on the good internships where the young talent will not only go and put in their 10 or 12 weeks or their semester at an employer, but they'll actually get something tangible from it.
So in your reference, you just mentioned semester. So are you seeing your internships as a formal way to fill credits for college? Is that the only reason someone would do an internship?
Well, many college degrees now require internships. They require that work experience, and internships fill the bill. About half of the internships posted on YouTern right now are for college credits. So it's almost part of the college experience, as mandated by some colleges. And frankly, to be competitive in this job market, a student needs several internships on their resume anyway.
Right, so when you come out of college, you have the student with the degree, and then you have the college student with the degree and actual practical application.
Yes, guess who gets the job?
Right, totally makes sense.
Right.
Having done a little bit of research on potentially using internships in our company, because I run a computer services and security company, so one of the things I found is the challenge between really a low-level, entry-level employee classification and an internship is that the internship has to be described or guided by an education plan, and that they really need to be taught something. They can't just be put in a role that you would otherwise hire somebody in.
That's exactly right. One of the primary criteria for to be considered an internship is there has to be educational value to it. And unfortunately, you had already mentioned the unpaid internships and what we call the gopher or the slave labor internships. Is people have forgotten that. People have forgotten that internships, by definition, are experiential education. They're not replacement part-time labor.
Right.
They're not to fill a gap in your bandwidth. You're supposed to be mentoring and teaching the intern as they work with your company.
I think another category I saw was that there had to be some risk of failure, and that
yes.
that intern has to be allowed to do enough to actually make a mistake. you know, not just select coffee and pick up people's dry cleaning.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah, and that's we call them coffee and copy internships.
Okay.
Right, where not much chance of you might spill a Starbucks or something, but you're not going to learn much from that. The reality is that we all learn from our own mistakes, some worse than others. But you know, sometimes we get a PhD in what not to do, right? So if you're not allowed to make mistakes, you're probably not learning as much as you need to because you're not being challenged.
yeah, my father used to say, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough.
Right.
So,
Right.
So for the employer, let's talk a little bit about, for them, what's the difference in classification? Because, I mean, is there still workman's compensation required? What happens if someone gets hurt? I mean, what would happen?
That depends a lot on the state you're in, actually.
Okay.
Because an intern is a training experience, most of the time workman's comp doesn't come into play. However, there are a lot of attorneys that would disagree with me, and a lot of state employment agencies that would disagree with me, because unless you can prove that trainee, the intern, is strictly a trainee, then workman's comp theoretically could apply.
So what's made you successful? Why do you think you're different, or what have you identified that makes you different?
Well, I think the key is the mentorship angle. Everybody on my team is mentors by nature, and we actually got into the business because of that. We've been in the online recruiting business for a decade, and somebody had said, you know, geez, I wish there was a great place to go find intern candidates. And we said, well, there has to be. We'll go find whoever that is for you. And honestly, we couldn't. You know, even the big job boards. You know, they're basically advertising agencies. There's no quality control.
Yep.
There's no discussion of mentorship. There's no discussion of education. It's advertising billboard space.
So you're actually vetting the employer as well as the intern itself? I mean, is that part of your process?
We do not vet the intern.
Okay.
To the employer, the intern is the same hiring process you would perhaps take on for an employee, except hopefully a shorter term.
Got it.
Because there's no long-term commitment from the candidate, obviously.
Right.
On YouTern, you have to show us that you are truly presenting an educational opportunity. No slave labor, no gophers, no weird guy startup in his garage. It has to be a genuine learning opportunity, a real company, or we just don't allow that on our site.
So let's ask on the classic side. I mean, Hollywood is known for having the coffee slep, you know, intern, and from what I understand, it's still happening today in a lot of places. How do you go? I mean, is there an interview process? I mean, do they have to sign a contract that said it won't be that case?
No. We can tell by the copy. We can tell by the words in the ads. We can tell by looking at the website or sites like Glassdoor.com what the company's reputation is. We don't want to get into I don't know, a debate with a company.
Right.
You know, it's like when you walk into a diner, we reserve the right to refuse service.
Right.
That's kind of how we approach it. And we've had companies, big companies, huge Massachusetts insurance companies that have literally taken a entry-level sales associate job that paid $38,000 a year plus commissions, do a global replace of sales associate, replace it with intern, and try and post it on our site. So unpaid. So
wow.
every other word besides sales associate replaced with intern was the exact same thing that they posted on the site, and we just said, come on guys, we can't do that.
Yeah. So you are actually providing a service for the intern, and you're also, I mean, frankly, kind of vetting out the employer so that the intern knows at least they're not going to walk into a slave labor situation in general.
Right. Well, and if we hear, you asked earlier what made us different. I think this is what makes us different, is people know when they come to our site, or they know when they see me, doing an interview or hear about us in the Wall Street Journal. This is what we talk about. Our reputation depends on high quality internships. So when your reputation as a company depends on something, you work pretty hard at it.
So are you based here in California?
We are actually a Nevada LLC, but most of our operation is right here in Orange County.
Okay.
And most of our board of advisors and a good deal of our employers are right here. So this is where we spend most of our time.
Yeah, that's not exactly atypical. Nevada and Delaware are both very commonly incorporated.
Well, and that's my home state. So when we started the company, it made a lot of sense at the time.
Well, that totally makes sense. So what have been your big successes?
Well, I think pivoting quickly. When we first launched YouTern, we actually thought we would work with the career centers at the universities in almost a business-to-business model. And we found out in a short amount of time, after we launched in September, that career centers are underfunded, overworked. There's
non-responsive.
Yeah, there's 3 of them and 30,000 students, and we quickly discovered we'd probably starve to death if we relied on even the best intended career centers. So we had to pivot very quickly to a B2C model using blogging and social media, Twitter, Facebook, and that's just been a tremendous success. It's really opened the door for us. And a lot of our blogs, we have some good writers on the team, and all of our interns write, and we aggregate a lot of the best guest posts out there. And a lot of industry experts write for us because of our reputation, and that's opened a lot of doors for us, and frankly got us a lot of press that we, when you're a self-funded startup and you're in Mashable and Technorati and Wall Street Journal.
I was actually quite surprised by the number of write-ups that you had.
Yeah. So, but it's all about the advocacy. It's internships and unpaid exploited interns are a big topic right now, and we take a pretty strong stance, and not just on the employer side. We actually tell the interns, if you guys, honestly, if you'd stop taking those Gopher internships, eventually it might take a decade or so. Yeah. But companies would stop offering them to interns. Right. So some of it is a self-policing, self-regulating process too.
Now let me get into the specifics of the different categories of internship. Are we talking about basically any category of business, whether it's science or entertainment, or do you have a specific vertical that you focus?
Well, I think we didn't intend to have a specific vertical, except when we first launched, because I come from the startup world. I thought that startups would be a wonderful place for a mentor-based internship, and we weren't wrong, by the way. It's still probably our most in-demand internship is at a young startup that where the intern gets to wear many hats. He isn't fetching coffee. One minute he might be doing marketing, the next one he might be doing a press release, the next moment he might be doing web design or trying to figure out a Photoshop document or something. Because just like the CEO of a startup, you're going to wear all those hats. So, but about a few months into the process, we had college students and career, recent graduates, career transitioners who came to us and said, "Look, I love the concept, and I'm really looking for a high-quality internship, but the startup entrepreneur world doesn't really thrill me. I want to clean up the ocean, or I want to help hungry kids, or I want to help urban gardening." And since our customer is millennials and Gen Y, we listened, and soon after we opened the door, we did add nonprofits and more established small and medium-sized businesses. And where we vet that the internship is very high quality, we've even had Fortune 500 companies posted on the site.
Well, that's interesting, because I know that the not-for-profits, having been on several boards myself, have a hard time finding quality, not super low paid, but lower paid employees that are willing to come to the cause and also take a lower pay salary as a result of it. So it's interesting that you're actually marrying those two together.
Well, it's almost cause oriented, impact oriented, right? Gen Y wants to make a difference, whether it's at a startup, chasing a new product down, or at a nonprofit, or like I said, cleaning up the ocean. They're predisposed to being contributors, and they don't want to fetch coffee. They don't want to make copies. They don't want to file all day. Right. They want to hustle, and they get a bad rap sometimes for being lazy or entitled or whatever, and sometimes that's true, but it's also true of my generation. So, but mostly they just want to help. They just want to contribute.
Some people say, are they baby boomers or baby robbers?
Right, that's right. and oh, by the way, whose fault is it anyway?
Exactly.
Right? So.
Amen to that. So what's your growth trajectory look like?
Well, it's pretty amazing. We just, 3 months ago, we were happy with 10,000 visitors a month, and this month we'll probably have 25,000 visitors to the site. So,
pretty wild.
So the hockey stick is going in the right direction. Our blogging has helped that a lot. Our social media has helped even more. We contribute a lot of pro bono work to the Twitter chats and to people who need help that can't afford a coach. We do a lot of pro bono work, so that's helped us a lot.
That's great.
So yeah, the hockey stick's definitely going in the right direction.
So how does the long-term revenue model look? I mean, are you taking a per hire fee, or is it a posting fee? How does that work?
Well, we're as a self-funded startup and a first-to-market opportunity, we actually focused for the first 9 months we were on board completely free on or just proof of concept.
Got it.
We
can bring people together.
Right. There's so many people are chasing funding and chasing investors with an idea and an unproven idea. Yeah. And we watched that for several months as we were storyboarding YouTern. We went to every pitching contest, every survivor contest, up and down the West Coast, New York, Boston. Everybody had pretty much the same idea with zero proof of concept. Mm-hmm. And we thought we could spend the next 6 months chasing money just like everybody else, or we could dig our heels in, get some work done, and run the company and go prove we have a business model. So just in July, we started charging the employers. Students, candidates are still free. Okay. Career centers are still free. And I think we'll stick with that model for a while. We'll let, Hulu Plus or Netflix or somebody else tackle the internet's not free for the college market that's a lot better funded than we are before we make that challenge. But sure. And when we do start charging the students, it'll be in a freemium model. So the students who really need the help but just can't afford it, we'll still be there for them.
Cool. So if you were to say in 2 years, where do you see YouTern? And by the way, for those that didn't catch the wordplay, it's YOUTERN.
Right, exactly right. Yep.
So where do you see yourself in 2 years?
Well, we don't even know where we're going to be in 2 months. So
well, that's good to know.
We've already had 2-3 major pivots. We're just now that we have proof of concept in hand, and our registered database on both the employer and the student side is doing very well. We're now seeking investing and funding. We know we have to stay nimble. We've created some competition now in our space.
That's success will do that.
Yes, and we know we have to stay on top of that. So, in the next 2 to 3 months, we'll release version 2 of the site, which will be a lot more technologically capable, mobile integrated.
Fantastic.
And 2 years from now, with any luck, we'll still be continuing the advocacy angle and working hard to make sure people know they have an option other than to go for internship.
Well, it's good to know that there's somebody with a heart and
thank you, sir.
Out to look good for people. I really appreciate your coming in and talking with us today, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I'm Kevin McDonald, and you've been watching Eye on Business, and tonight with me was Mark Babbitt with YouTern. That's YOUTERN. Hope to see you next time.
Hello, my name is Jim Gray, and welcome to the Judges' Chambers. I was on the bench in Orange County for about 25 years, and it was just a wonderful experience. And honestly, you should come into the courthouse. It's your courthouse, and look and see what's going on. I used to tell my jurors that the more they would understand how this system works and how we were operating it, the more they'd be proud of us, and I believe that. But there's something I want to talk to you about tonight, because I would see this on the bench really all the time, not only in juvenile court, but pretty much everywhere else. And that is that our education system is failing our children. In fact, it's not public schools, it's really government schools, and that's the problem. If you look at it, today, if you're going to buy a pencil or a piece of cloth or anything else, you are the customer. You decide how much money you're going to spend and which piece of cloth you're going to buy. But with regard to schools, it is funded differently. It's funded from the top down, which is to say the federal government gives out lots of money, mostly to the state, then the state keeps some, and then they give it to school districts, and the school districts provide it down through the administration, and eventually it comes down to the teachers and to the students. As a result, you have a lot of political problems, and you also have a lot of administration, and the teachers are not being able to be energetic, to be able to be creative, because the teachers get stifled. Plus, they see, you know something? Where's all the money? It's in administration. It's not in teaching. As a result, we are stagnated with regard to our teaching. We've got to stop that. What we can do is allow a voucher. Now, I know that word is sometimes frowned upon, but you can call it a scholarship, you can call it a regulation, call it what you want, but then the government would give you as a parent a voucher that you could spend in any school that you wanted to, as long as it met some certain minimum standards. That way, if your local school wasn't working, what would you do? You'd find another school close by where you could take your child and get the education that you want. You would be the consumer. You would be making the decision. You don't need testing in order to play to the tests in order to see how well the schools are performing, because you as parents will know that. I'd ask you a question that was asked to me by Milton Friedman, who absolutely changed my point of view basically with this question, which was, look, who is in a better situation, a better position to decide where and how your student should be educated? You or the government? That's it. You are as the parent, are in that position. And then if you take your child out of my school, what am I going to do? You know something? I will look around and say, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why is somebody going to a different school? And I will look and see what they're doing and I'm not. Logically. Same thing if I own a 7-Eleven or a Kmart or whatever else, the competition will work. Then I will either change and get better so the students will come to my school, or I will go out of business and someone else will come in and take over, or I will sell it to someone who will do it better. If you want to get ingenuity, creativity back in our schools, bring back competition. And by the way, along those lines, I was in the Peace Corps for a couple of years in Costa Rica, and in Costa Rica they had uniforms for school. Khaki pants or khaki skirt for the girls, and a white blouse or white shirt. And that was pretty much it. The people that didn't have much money, the campesinos, the one that were out farther, could compete easily with those like from the United Fruit Company that did have money. They were all equal. They were all dressed to learn. That is a wonderful thing. It works. It reduces a lot of conflicts because, you know, if you have dress codes, you say, oh, you can't wear this, you can't wear that. And of course, children are almost as if they're human. They'll try to beat the system. But if you simply say, they will wear this, all the problems go away, just like they did in Costa Rica. So this is something that you as parents are going to want to have happen. Dress your children for school just like any other uniform. They will be dressed to learn. They will have maybe an emblem of their school on their lapel, so they'll be proud and they'll know full well, boy, if I misbehave, it's going to bring discredit on my school. Education is so important. I've seen it as a judge, you've seen it as parents. We've got to get excellence back in education. The way to do that, put the parents in control, with competition. That's my view from the judges' chambers. Think about it. I think you'll agree. And if you want to have any questions, visit my website, which is www.JudgeJim.AIR.mov. And I think you'll be pleased with what you see. Good luck to us all.